This video is not intended for bulls. Viewer discretion advised, especially for the overly optimistic.
U.S. stocks have erased their losses for the year, boosted by lower than expected inflation numbers and a rally fueled by President Trump's tariff deal with China. Call me a pessimist, but these valuations feel more like wishful thinking than fundamentals. In this video, I'll break down the growing disconnect between the U.S. stock market and the economic signals we're seeing underneath. Not all economic crises are built the same. At their core, most boil down to one of two forces: a disruption in supply or a drop in demand. Every month we get fresh clues, macro indicators like prices, production, confidence, jobs, spending. And if we look closely, we can start to see where the pressure's building: on the supply side, the demand side, or both. So here's what we'll do. Let's take a quick look at some of the latest data, see where things stand right now, and I'll walk you through what's been bothering me. Let's start with the production side. Right now, there's not a whole lot to panic about, at least not yet. Take the PPI, Producer Price Index. It spiked during COVID, sure, but since then it's been easing back toward normal levels. Same with ISM manufacturing data. The PMI, or Purchasing Managers Index, is a key indicator of manufacturing activity. Above 50 means growth. Below 50 means the sector is shrinking. Lately, it's been stuck just below that 50 line. So yes, technically we're in contraction, but this isn't a sharp drop. It's more like a slow drift. Factories are cooling off, not shutting down. In short, soft but stable. Even the tariff headlines, like the ones announced on Liberation Day, haven't really shown up in prices yet. Why? Because suppliers stocked up early, and new costs take time, 6 months or more, to ripple through. Bottom line? So far, no flashing red lights on the production side. Now let's turn to the consumer side, and this is where the picture gets murkier. Start with the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, a simple number that reflects how confident people feel about the economy. A reading above 80 means strong optimism. Above 60? Still relatively positive. But when it dips into the 50s, that's not just caution, that's anxiety. And lately, we've been stuck deep in that anxiety zone. 5 straight months of decline. High prices, tighter credit, and recession fears are dragging sentiment down. Then you have delinquency rates on student loans, car loans, credit cards, all rising to multi-year highs. Yes, the year-over-year inflation rate is down to 3.2%, but that only tells part of the story. Compared to pre-COVID price levels, we're still significantly higher. The so-called return to normal hasn't materialized. We've simply adjusted to a new, elevated price baseline. So what does it all add up to? When we zoom out and connect the dots, one thing becomes clear. The consumer is under strain. In an economy where household spending makes up 70% of GDP, that's not just a warning sign. That's the core of the system wobbling. And because U.S. consumers drive nearly 30% of global demand, this isn't just U.S.'s story. It's the world's. We've looked at the major macro indicators, things like consumer spending, employment, and sentiment data. But here's the thing, those indicators are backward-looking. They tell us what's already happened, which means they're limited when it comes to explaining what's about to happen. That's why now we're turning to the bond market, because bond yields reflect more than just the present. They price in expectations, emotions, policy direction, and supply-demand dynamics. And what we're seeing in that market right now, it looks a lot like a classic bear steepening. Short-term rates are still high, but long-term rates, they're rising faster than the short-term rates. Under normal conditions, when markets are worried about a recession, U.S. Treasuries play their role as a safe haven. People rush to buy long-term bonds, which drives long-term yields down. That flight to safety also tends to lower the correlation between stocks and bonds. So what's going on? There are a few reasons, and none of them are particularly comforting. First, inflation. Sure, CPI might look stable on the surface, but dig a little deeper. Core inflation, services, wages, they're all still sticky. And the market's starting to think this isn't going away anytime soon. So what happens? Investors want more compensation for locking up their money long term. That's why long-term yields start to climb. Second, the Federal Reserve. This ties back to what we talked about with inflation. The Fed raised interest rates to their peak in the summer of 2023, then made just 2 cuts in the second half of 2024, and since then, they've stayed put. The problem is there are already multiple warning signs flashing across the market: higher tariffs, growing fiscal pressure, and rising household debt. In most situations, that would call for rate cuts. The ongoing inflation fight is limiting the Fed's ability to ease policy. And the longer they wait, the more nervous investors get. That fear starts to grow, and suddenly, holding long-term bonds feels a lot riskier. When the outlook deteriorates, no one wants to be stuck in long-term bonds. As sentiment weakens, they start selling long-dated bonds, putting downward pressure on prices and pushing yields higher. Third, government borrowing. After the COVID crisis, the U.S. government issued massive amounts of debt to support the economy. But over time, that's led to a heavier interest burden and growing doubts about how sustainable the government's finances really are. And the recent downgrade by Moody's? That fits right into this narrative. The direction is clear. At the end of the day, this comes down to simple supply and demand. Flood the market with bonds, prices fall, yields go up. What really matters going forward is this. Even though U.S. Treasuries have long been seen as the world's safest asset, will that trust and demand still hold in an environment like this? Still, if history tells us anything, it's that U.S. stumbles but doesn't collapse. Maybe I'm just being too cautious. Maybe everything will turn out fine. But when the warning signs are flashing this clearly, I'd rather be early and wrong than late and right. To those riding this bull market with confidence, this might sound like unnecessary worry. But either way, let's hope we all meet again, in brighter times. Thanks for watching. If this helped you see the market a little differently, don't forget to like, subscribe, or share it with someone who's still wondering why yields are going up while everything else feels like it's slowing down. More episodes coming soon.